I'm okay, thanks. I love the film and it was great, by the way, and you all did fantastic. So my first question is, Sam, as you wrote and directed this film, I was wondering how did you get the idea for this project?
The idea came from my love of coming of age movies and feeling like pool hopping was the perfect premise that was unexplored in these kinds of movies. And also from the sort of the sort of beauty I find in the image of like a glowing blue pool at night, which feels so spiritual and cathartic and interesting to me. And I just thought that would make for an incredible movie. And so that's kind of where it began.
That's cool. And Michael, how did you get involved with this project and what drew you to your character?
I would say I got involved with this project in 2014 before it ever existed because I met Sam Hayes at a party and we've just became best friends ever since. And Sam wrote the character for me, you know. So that made it really easy, made my job easy. And the fact that I'm from Chicago, that I have so many friends who are blue collar workers, and that I see a lot of my life similarly to how Michael the AC repairman sees his life, where living in the moment, doing what makes him happy and fulfilled, but also constantly kind of having to find yourself and discover yourself. And that's going on every day. So it was easy to relate because he gave me a gift.
Is that why the characters are the same name?
Yeah, he's literally trolling me with
Indeed.
that character
Indeed.
name.
And what scene did you find the most hardest or challenging to film and direct?
All the underwater stuff was extremely tricky. You're dealing with cameras floating around, people floating around. It's really hard to stand your mark, hard to stand your water long enough to get the shot. We had to train Odessa to hold her breath for far longer than she used to be able to through a breath coach. She got like up to over a minute and a half, which was very impressive.
That's cool.
So yeah, all the water stuff was really tricky. Also, the big smash zoom scene in the window, which we used at the start of the trailer as well for the movie with Michael and Kennedy going across the lawn. That was very tricky to film because those zooms are so long that you have to like even the slightest bit off and you're going to be way off. So like landing those, kind of took all day.
And what about you, Michael?
Yeah, I would say the most demanding was all the pool scenes between me and Odessa at the end of the movie because you're shooting in the middle of the night, it's freezing outside, you got to keep diving in the water and with all your might swimming up, carrying Odessa who's fighting me, trying to stay underwater, right? So there's a moment where I do dive in and I pull her up and we have a conversation on the stairs at the end of the movie like I was exhausted, which helped so much for that scene too, because it grounds you a little bit, it frustrates you, and a lot of that frustration is real that I'm taking out on Odessa because I just had to swim you from the deep end to the shallow end. In the movie, it's cut, so it looks like we get there a little sooner, but I was swimming her every time from the deep end to the shallow end, and she was fighting me because her character wanted to stay down there, she wanted to escape. And so that those scenes were demanding. There was a lot of pages we shot in the cold air of night.
Yeah,
And
indeed.
that sort of leads into my next question, actually. And what is the process like working with cameras that are underwater? And how different is the directing process and acting process of working underwater and with water?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much more time in between takes because it's so much harder to like reset. So it requires a lot more patience. And I mean, Michael could probably speak to this more than me, but I imagine that would make it harder to kind of remain in character and remain in the mood that your character was in, you know? I don't know, Michael, what do you think? I already spoke to sort of the technical aspects of what it's like, but I'm curious, Michael, what you felt with that.
Yeah, well, I think anything that happens on set is a gift, whether it's a good thing that happens or a bad thing. So the fact that the water's cold, the fact that maybe it takes longer in between camera setups, or maybe the device that the camera is in to be able to go underwater is fogging up, right? So these are
Yeah.
things that you're accounting for that take more time away than in a normal camera setup. But all of that could be used, right? Like, oh, this girl is going under the water and not coming up, or she's not believing in herself to be a great singer, even though this voice kept me at the house that I was robbing, you know? And so these
Mm.
little things I take, maybe I'm annoyed that camera's taking too long, right? I'm not blaming anybody, but I will literally find whatever is real on the day. This is annoying to wait for this. You know what else is annoying? This person with this gift not utilizing it in their life, right? So just taking what is actually happening on set and making and bringing it into the scene is kind of how I work. So any of these things that were difficult to shoot is just it's just a gift for the truth of the scene.
That's really
Mhm.
cool to hear. And that leads into my another question actually. How hot or cold was the water when filming, and how long can you both hold your breath underwater?
I mean, with the amount of cigarettes my character smoked, 10 seconds.
I can hold my breath for a little over a minute, but which isn't that long. Odessa got up higher than that, but the pools were actually very warm. The air was cold. It was interesting because it's Chicago summer. It's usually quite hot and humid at night, which is part of the whole environment of setting of the film. It's meant to feel like a heat wave. But when we were shooting, we had the worst weather. It was raining on and off all the time, totally unpredictable, and it was getting down to like the upper 50s at night most of the night. So we kept the pool like above 90. You'll know one of the flaws of the movie is you'll notice there's some steam coming off the pool every once in a while, which it shouldn't be.
It
But
looked
yeah,
kind of cool though, having the steam there. I thought it was a quite
yeah,
cool element.
yeah, right. Yeah.
And very cool. You don't really have many scenes with the other cast, so I was wondering, did you get to hang out with them, and how did you bond? And did you all hang out in the pools between filming scenes?
Yeah, we did actually. We all swam together on the day that we did our table read when we all got to set. So fortunately, I had known Odessa for probably a couple years at that point, and then I knew Tyler Alvarez because Tyler Alvarez and I in 2017 were in one of the last viral Funny or Die videos. That's how we met together, met originally. So I had a good rapport with them already, and then everyone else was just so friendly and open and excited to be there that it was the table read though when we got to set that all brought us together. And then we all hung out at that mansion, the main house pool all night, just kind of swimming, laughing, having fun. And, that brought everyone together immediately.
That's amazing. And it's good how you all had connections before you started filming as well. And were you
Definitely.
allowed to do improvisation, and are you all good swimmers?
I think everyone was a good swimmer, huh, Sam? Everybody was a good
Yeah,
swimmer.
I think everybody was a pretty good and competent swimmer. Yeah, there weren't really any problems with that, thankfully.
I was a swimmer growing up.
Yeah.
I was a little fat kid wearing a Speedo going to the swim meets. So I feel very, very comfortable in the water. My dad was an all-American water polo player in high school and college. So like the water is so important to my family, especially my dad. So that was instilled in me. But improvisation, the nice thing about Sam is that he writes very specifically. But he's also open to you finding magic in different moments, right? He's not like not gonna get on us and be crazy about being like word perfect. But some things
Mhm.
you have to be very, very, very specific about, But Sam allowed us to kind of find the character's voice through ourselves, and in a way, even if you're staying, like even if you are word perfect, it felt improvisational because we had the freedom to explore in between
Mhm.
each line of dialogue.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I like to get there's certain words that like kind of come back. It's like, oh, this is a significant word you hear three times in the script, so you need that. So sometimes I'll be like, we need that. But I like to just, all right, get a take down where it's solid and we're pretty much on script. And then after that, like let's fuck around. Like let's get as wild as we can and try all sorts of things. Whatever we have time to try, I want to try it. So I love to work with the actors and let them do what they do best.
And I had to ask, as there's lots of like running between pools and stuff, were there any injuries on set?
Well, actually, there was an injury, but it had nothing to do with the pools. Odessa was walking through a grass field on the last day of the shoot, and she stepped on a wasp and got
Ooh,
like a horrible, like a, I don't even know, we don't even know what kind of like bug it was, but it stung her, and like her entire leg ended up like swelling up. but it was the last day of filming, and so she was limping around, and she did that whole last day of filming like kind of working through that because she's such a badass and she's so good. So you can't notice it. I mean, she made it totally hidden. Most of that last day of shooting was in the pool. We actually had 14 pages to shoot on the last day, and it was all Michael and Kennedy's like deep conversation stuff in the pool. They just absolutely nailed it because they were only getting like 2 takes each for like all of those scenes, and they really brought it home.
That's amazing. I would have cried probably myself. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for doing this interview with me. I love the film and it has a really good message as well, I thought. And I hope you have an amazing, wonderful day. And you're both fantastic.
Thanks so
Hey,
much. Thanks for asking great questions. I feel like a lot of interesting stuff came out that we haven't talked about in other interviews.
yeah, thank you,
Thanks.
Daniel.
I
Yeah.
hope to interview you again in the future and see your future projects as well.
Let's do
Great.
it.
Bye.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thanks.